On another exciting episode of the Animation Deliberation podcast, we have finally had time to breathe after My Hero Academia's tragedies and emotional moments. We are going to be talking about top fives right after these ads we have no control over.
Sing along if you know the words. A 1, 2, 3, it's time for Animation Deliberation. A conversation and a celebration of a favorite action animated series. Yeah.
Yeah, welcome back to another episode of Animation Deliberation, the podcast where we take action, animation, and cartoons seriously, but not too seriously. We are your hosts. I am Zuhair Ali.
And I am Andrew Rogers.
And we have had our time of peace to grieve after the emotional torture that was season 6 of My Hero Academia. So many incredible moments. This is such an incredible show. I'm going to cry the day that it's over, but we still have a lot of storytelling to do. And with the storytelling that we've had, we wanted to have a top five. Top five moments of My Hero Academia from season 1 up until now. All of them could be season 6, all of them could be season 1. It doesn't matter. It's just such a beautiful show, such a beautiful series. We wanted to hear from the people what their favorite moments were.
And boy, did the people show up. Honestly, just at the top here, I want to say thank you to all of you out there who are listening. We always love hearing from you, and we got so many of you to write in. I'm very happy with that. But yeah, no, I'm totally just happy to jump in because there's a lot to think about. And like you said, I thought you were just going to stop and say all the moments could be in season 6 because it was a hard time not just picking moments from season 6.
It really
I,
was.
I think I only ended up with one of them on my list because I really took a step back and looked at it as a big picture. But like, yeah, season 6, I think I immediately thought of like 10 moments that I could have put on the list.
Yeah, it definitely was a lot. None of it took over my top moment, but they definitely got close. But I think without further ado, let's get to a list because there's a lot of diversity between them for sure.
Mm-hmm. Do you want to
And
go back and forth, or do you want to go first? I'll go second. How do you want to do the two of our lists?
you can kick off your first one, and we'll just go like one, 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 and finish with our top one.
Okay, yeah. So I'll start at number 5 on my list then. And I do have an honorable mention. I guess I'll put it like between the 2 and the 1 because that's what people do.
Yeah,
It doesn't really belong there, but you'll see when I
that
get there.
works.
But number 5 on my list, and I will preface, I've read through all the listener feedback. I took this differently than a lot of the listeners. When I heard the words best moments, I was looking at like specific singular moments in the show and kind of what they meant, how they made me feel. Like a lot of these are big emotional impact moments.
Hmm.
So number 5 is Aizawa cutting off his leg. That was just one of those moments that I have not been so surprised or taken aback in a while. Him just absolutely going for it, like reckless abandon. We didn't know whether things were going to be okay or not, and just saying, "This is what I have to do." Deku, you gave me a hole. Thanks for this, buddy. And just taking it off, slow
Yeah,
motion, everyone surprised. My heart's racing thinking about it again because I don't know if I've ever been so distraught by My Hero Academia as I was when that singular moment happened. Like a lot of things have made me happy. I don't think anything's made me quite as holy crap we're
yeah,
doing this as that. That was I think one of the tone setters for season 6 of like, oh no, it's not fake anymore.
yeah. There no hesitation whatsoever, and the fact that he was still trying to keep his eyes open and be as focused as he could because he understands how important his role was in that situation. Truly terrifying. So I think I did the opposite of what you did, where
Okay.
I had a bunch of very specific moments until I saw our fans talking about arcs, and I was like, a few of these can be put together. So I did expand mine a little bit, but it did help add clarity because there was a lot of this really did happen right after this, or this happened because of this.
For sure.
But one of the clearest ones is actually Aizawa for me too. And it's in season 1, Aizawa versus the villains. This was the first
Ooh,
moment of the show when everybody comes out of the portal and you understand what the stakes are, who the villains are, where the story is going. And we talk about how Aizawa's purpose is being a ninja essentially. Like he's all about stealth and one-to-one combat, and the fact that he was like, "Don't worry, I got this," and just started decimating all those villains that he was not expecting on his grounds in broad daylight was absolutely incredible and definitely set the tone of like, "Oh, I'm sold on this show."
Yeah, was that the first time that we found out about his quirk too, if I remember correctly?
No, we knew about it because there was like when the students were like throwing the ball and having the track races and stuff, like when Deku almost like destroyed his hand, that was when Aizawa like first canceled him out. But I think this
Right.
was when we found out about his limits.
That's true, and the goggles and all the other
Yeah.
things. Yeah, it was a tremendous scene. Like, spoiler alert, it doesn't make my top 5, but All Might versus the original Nomu, which is in that same vein,
Mhm.
was almost on my list. I really thought hard about having that in there.
Yeah. Was that your honorable mention?
No, that was I'll do my honorable mention now since I teased it. I couldn't put it on this list because it doesn't actually belong in a top 5. But in just big letters on my notebook, I have Aerie written. Just any of the scenes with
Mhm.
Aerie, the first time she smiled, and specifically, I love it every time I see it on like Facebook and Instagram. Is the Santa Aerie scene where she says the
Yeah.
wrong holidays? I just want to
Happy
be,
Easter.
yeah, like I want to be Uraka in that moment and slide across the floor, being like, "Oh my god, she's so cute!" Like she's just
So
she's the
precious.
definition of protect at all cost, and like it's no secret you and I both love Aizawa, and getting to see Papa Aizawa be the protector of Eri, it's just like
Mhm.
nobody touch a hair on her head because
Yeah.
it's going to go down if anyone does. So she was my honorable mention, but I couldn't bring myself to actually put Santa Eri on a top 5 list. It didn't work.
Yeah. That's fair. Even like the chills that we got the first time that you ran through that alley and hugged Midoriya,
When we didn't even
like
know who she was.
I mean, but just at that point, like just the emotion that they put and the tension that you felt of like, what's wrong with this kid? Like, is she in trouble? Who is this guy with the mask? Like, what's going on over here? Like, just the absolute. She's just an incredible character, and what they do with her and what they do with the show is just amazing.
Yes.
Number four.
Number 4, incredible characters. I'm going with Deku gets into UA. It's what, the second episode that we actually finally get that reveal. Like, as a main character, you know that they're going to get into the school. You know that they're going to succeed in the thing. But there's just something about the way that he got in. The fact that
Hmm.
he thought he had failed, that he found out, oh wait, there's a protector score, and that All Might, his hero, was the one that was able to deliver him that news. I don't think I've cried quite as quickly in an anime as I did with My Hero Academia. Like, there were so many times in the first handful of episodes where you just get so endeared to this kid, trying to figure out his struggles, who he is, how it's all going to work, that yeah, it is the stone that fell that knocks over all of these other dominoes. So I think it deserved a spot on my list of him crying with his mother. Makes me want to cry right now.
Yeah, and just the first, like, I guess episode two, when All Might, you know, tells Deku about his power and how it can be passed on and how he's choosing him as a successor and stuff. The music and the way that it kicks in and that is absolutely iconic. Like it's one of those songs that every time I listen to it, I have an emotional reaction, and it really builds me up. Like whenever I need it, whether it be to go to the gym, whether I'm having an emotional moment, whether I'm having a breakdown, like whatever. But just that do 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 like all the emotions that come from the show like really hit all at once whenever that song comes on. It's absolutely just it's incredible. It's really incredible. I know I say that word a lot, but there's really nothing else that I can describe this with except incredible.
For sure.
My number four, there was a lot of stuff that happened in this arc that on a rewatch is super quick. And one thing that was, I think, not emphasized as much because of how incredible Mirio was is what Fat Gum was able to do in that fight when him and
Oh
Kirishima
yeah.
got separated, and Kirishima was just getting the daylight speed out of him, but he kept like pulling through. He kept being plus ultra. He was getting as strong and stronger than he could to help out Fat Gum, but we thought Fat Gum was just taking these punches, not realizing that we got to see the full extent of his quirk, where he's sucking up all his kinetic energy, burning up the fat, and putting it all into one blow in his fist. Incredible! Like talk about the imagination of coming up with quirks and how everybody is well written. Like there is not a single wasted character. And I was like, oh, cool. Like the silly fat character. All right, that's cool. And just knowing what he's able to do and what he had in store all along really blew me away.
Yeah, you say that, and like I was fully prepared for Fat Gum's quirk to just be, I'm a big beach ball that can roll
Yeah.
over the bad guys. Like
Mhm.
they took it to another level. They showed, and yeah, no, I can't disagree. It's it hurt me to not put any scenes from that arc on my list because I've gone on record and still will say that arc is my favorite arc, and I didn't put a single scene from the Save Airy arc on my list,
Okay.
which is weird to say. But like I'm looking at my next three and I'm like, I wouldn't put it above any of these. So
Yeah. I
it
did want to
was
add Sun Eater to
difficult.
that, especially when people were talking about bigger arcs, because the way that he ate the diamond and had and added that power to his skill set, I was like, "You are smart, dude. I love this."
Sun Eater is an criminally underrepresented character in
Yeah.
the show. He should be in a lot more things alongside the other big three. Like the big three are so well written characters to just be side characters.
Hmm. Spin off.
Yeah, seriously, honestly, give it to us.
All right, number three.
Number three, I had a hard time. My two and three have switched about 10 times in my head as for which one I want to put in the three slot. I'm going to go with Endeavor versus the new Nomu. That's my
Okay.
three slot. And not even the fight necessarily. Like the fight is amazing. Do not get me wrong. But when I talk about the part of this that makes it stand out as a moment to me, it's him after that fight standing there with his fist in the air, the crowd going
With that
wild,
same song.
that same song, but just him and that inner monologue of like, I know I can't fall. I'm the number one now. I have to represent myself. And all of the people being like, he's actually number one, and what it means to the greater impact of the community, of the people believing in heroes again, of this, the representation that it has as him as a number one hero. Like, say what we will about Endeavor in season 6, but in season 5, when that happens, oh my God, it's absolutely just incredible. The emotional impact that that little gesture had on
Yeah.
all of it. And then you also got a rad fight with Hawks that preceded that amazing scene.
Yeah, there has to be some type of highlight reel where he's just on the podium and says, "Watch me," and then it just goes into all the incredible things we've seen him do since then.
Oh, that's yeah. Please.
Like I've watched multiple versions of that scene that I freaked out over in Black Clover. I need something similar to that effect with just Endeavor being Endeavor.
Endeavor. Yeah.
All right. Somebody who was also another top 5 hero that had an incredible moment is the way that Mirko made her entrance at the beginning of season 6.
Okay.
Same with how I was blown away with Fat Gum, I was blown away with her. We see her on stage just being like super energetic and dynamic and stuff, but just the way that she was able to pull through, and it's like seriously, if Yami told her to push past her limits and he saw what she did, he'd be like, "Yeah, you're good. You're justified. You're set." The way that she was able to get stabbed and battered, she had the living daylights beat out of her and just kept going. It was absolutely insane. That was when we realized that things were not going to be easy in this raid. Things were not going to go well for our heroes. It was just incredibly done. That was such an entrance.
Yeah, I remember seeing pictures of the bunny girl character and being like, "Oh,
Star Bunny.
yeah, score bunny." But just like before the season, you're like, okay, what are we going to do? Like, because they kind of have had some weird fan service with Mount Lady. The fact that they didn't do any of that with Mirko and instead, oh, no, this is just one of the most badass characters we've ever had on the screen, period. And you're going to see her doing what she does best.
Yeah.
Like, she came to kick ass and chew bubblegum, and she's all out of bubblegum. Like,
She
absolutely wonderful
definitely
pick.
I talk about how when it comes to watching something weekly, I'll watch it in Japanese because I don't have the patience for dub. But once the season is over, I'll rewatch Miriko's voice and Uraraka's plea from the top of the school. are things that are going to be two very hard things for the dub voice actors to match, and I'm very excited to see how they do it.
I'm intrigued by that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll have to double check on that one as well because I have not had the emotional capacity to even want to double back, let alone the time.
I will eventually, but no, I haven't quite gotten there yet. I have a couple of, flights and trips and stuff coming up. Maybe I'll just have a binge for that.
Well, we're busy people, and if you are curious how busy, definitely go check out our news episode because we talked about all sorts of news and anime that we're watching outside of My Hero Academia.
Yeah.
Nothing like a selfish plug.
It's just how much we love doing this show, man. Like, we're so busy and we're just kind of like, all right, who needs sleep? Let's record. It
Yeah, right? Well, there wasn't a good transition for who needs sleep into my next thing. So, either way, on to
was
number
for
2.
mine.
I don't have your list in front of me, so now I'm really curious. Ooh, actually, I might have a guess, but I'm going to jump in with my number 2. Deku versus Todoroki. God, the dialogue. It's
Hmm.
so good. Like, we knew that Deku was this selfless character leading into the arena arc, but the way that he is able to convince Todoroki, whomst is a character that I did not really like up to that point,
Hmm.
that I think that is actually the turning point. Him saying, "This is your power. It's not your father's power." All of these different little nitpicks that he is bringing to a person that he doesn't even really know, and turns out to be one of the best characters of the show, one of his best friends that he has at the end of the day. Like, honestly, there is. I don't have anything better to say. Like, there's nothing that has moved me quite as much as him just putting himself on the line only to get beat up as well.
Yeah.
Like, it's not even like he did this and then was like, now I'm going to be the victor and show you my power. He's like, no, beat me up proper. I want to see
Yeah.
what you really got.
And his smile when he actually did it, he was like, this feels so good. It was one of those pay it forward situations, right? Because it's like Deku gave him what he needed to kick Deku's ass. But at the same time, like, he got that confidence so that when it came around to repay that and when they were closer to being on the same level, like, that wouldn't have happened if he didn't like sacrifice that part of him to be able to build that up.
Yeah. And like you said, it pays forward because it just turns these characters into really the characters that we know and love.
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
All right. So who's my sleep deprived character?
Well, your sleep deprived character, there's two characters. It has to be an Aizawa thing, I'm guessing, but it also could be the student that he taught from class 1B. That was my only other guess, but
No, I was just gonna go straight into Dark Deku. I know
oh,
I did
duh.
season 6 in a row, but one of the biggest things that I talked about in one of the episodes I had to do by myself was that this was the first time that we got to see Deku with self confidence. We know that he is a very hyper intelligent individual. We know that he's very capable and very determined, but everything that we've seen from him in seasons 1 through 5 has been emotional reactions. This is the first time that he was like, I know what I'm capable of. I'm still going to be doing new stuff like with the vestiges, but everything that he did was with intent, was utilizing his powers, understanding what he's capable of doing, and just being an absolute badass. Like the way that he hit, what was the guy's name? Muscular?
Oh, yeah. Muscular didn't stand a chance for being such a prominent villain prior, and that was the moment I think that
Yeah.
Deku means business.
Yeah, the way that he took care of business and was able to quickly understand and balance what his additional quirks were able to do, and then the way that that suit looked, like the first time we saw the little bunny ears and the All Might smile and everything, I was like, why doesn't he make a new suit that just gets rid of this now? Like, why do we still have this dumb hood? Like, clearly they're not doing anything with it. Thank you, My Hero Academia, for slapping me in the face and be like, this is why. We set foundations. There's purposes to everything that we do. That suit looked absolutely incredible. I love the eyes. I love the claws that, his gloves turned into and how beat up his boots were. Everything about that look was menacing. And just that whole transition of what Deku is able to be says so much about like what he's going to be like as an adult hero.
Yeah, and I think you've said it best. It's the first and only time that we're going to see a lot of this and just relish in what we got. because it was
Yeah.
so perfect.
Give me that Batman story in My Hero Academia.
Yeah, it kind of it tracks for you. It's the Jason Todd, it's the, you
Probably
know,
Tim Drake.
Batman loses Alfred kind of situation.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, everything about that story was great, but just what they were able to do with him alone was incredible.
yeah.
Number one.
Number 1. Yeah, it felt difficult, and then when I stumbled upon this as I was running through, the seasons in my head, I couldn't think of another scene that deserved the number 1 in to me, and it's Class 1A saving Bakugo. That just everything about the group coming together in fear and terror and like not knowing what to do, absolutely paralyzed. But the minute they realize that their friend is in danger, they go out of their way, come up with the craziest possible plan with Ida and the ice ramp and all of them just absolutely launching over in order to try. And then, if I'm not mistaken, it was not, was it Kirishima that put out his hand? Someone, I,
Yes, because it was like it has to be the friend that calls out to him. He's not
yes,
going to listen to anybody else.
exactly. Like they knew their place as his friends, but they knew it had to be his friends. So it was Kirishima being like, "Take my hand, I got you." And the slightest hesitation, but him realizing it's his friends, they are here to save him, and just going with them and being like, "All right, you Nimrods, let's get out of here and let's do this." Like,
I love his English voice actor so much. You idiots! Just with the
yeah,
biggest smile. I was like, I love
yeah,
this so much.
exactly. Like he's happy, but still that sarcastic self. Like there's a reason Bakugo is the number 1 character in this show by every poll that they've ever done. And it's
Hmm.
because of that lovable scamp attitude that he has. And just, yeah, I don't think there's a better way to cap off a list without him being at both his best and his worst, because you don't often see him being vulnerable, and this is one of those vulnerable moments. It was very hard to figure out whether or not I wanted this or the Class 1A versus Deku, but I think I like this one better, and I think that's why that scene just doesn't appear on my list, is because this just triumphs it all. For the listeners, I'm laughing a little bit because Zuhair is stroking a Bakugo Funko Pop right this moment,
And
and
you can
it's
see he's
just,
trying to escape me. He doesn't like it.
yeah,
I
it's
accidentally
amazing.
knocked over Todoroki and Kirishima as I was grabbing it, so sorry.
Oh
You.
no! Well,
It was them diving to rescue him as I pulled him off the shelf.
exactly. So yeah, it was a weird pick, and then again, you get this amazing fight on the sideline of this scene that is going to be all for one versus one for all. So
I'm going to stop you right there because I thought that you were going to mention this earlier. I did not think that our top scenes was going to be one after the other. Everything about the sequence, from the assault in the forest to how battered everybody was, to Bakugo getting kidnapped, to the way that Bakugo tried to escape, to All for One coming in and Best Genius stepping up, to the rescue scene that you just mentioned. But the showdown between All for One and One for All is one of the greatest scenes in anime history. It brings me to tears every time. My favorite Funko of all time is All Might smiling with one giant arm as he's just beat to shit. Excuse my language. I can't reach for that one because of the length of this cord. Otherwise, I'd stroke that as well. That there's just so much power behind that scene. There was moments of him being hopeless because of the revelation of Shigaraki, to somebody needing his help, just crying to tell him that he is incredible. Just I can't even put it into words. I was in tears the first time I saw it. I'm in tears every time I watch it. The build up to that, the fact that we only got 3 seasons with him, the fact that the only time we ever saw him fight with Deku was in a movie, like we have to go so long without him, and then the build up off of that of him feeling hopeless and not knowing how to help and just being on his knees, like that scene is so powerful. The way that fight ended with his fist going up and everyone saying let him have his moment. This is the last time he's going to do this. He's saying goodbye. He's pointing at Deku through the camera saying you're next. Just Oh, this show's so freaking good.
Ah, I forgot about the year next. The year next really just caps it off, and
And
it's
then the fight between Deku and Bakugo too, like Bakugo's regret and Deku not understanding, and
oh yeah, that was a hard one to also not put on this list.
yeah, too
Like, it's so funny because I feel like there were so many scenes that were like possible number ones that I just threw them out once I figured out my number one, and then like,
good.
oh, this deserves like a number five slot, but it's like, does it really? When you have like five possible number ones that it could have been. But I find it interesting that we were so separate until the end and then just came together to be
Yeah,
like, yep, this is it. Because if I had to pick it as an arc, I would have said the all for one versus one for all arc, wherein you have them saving and you have the raid and you have all the things that happen to get us there. So fun alignment at the top. But
yeah. I'm glad that our lists were very diverse and they just like came together like that. It was just a great show. I can't wait to. I might just start the whole thing over in dub instead of just season 6. It's just such a beautiful, beautiful show. And we do have a lot more stuff that we haven't said that we got in from Jay Scotty and from our listeners. Before we get that, I want to tell you guys about a blender. A blender? Why a blender? I want to tell you guys specifically about the BlendJet 2. BlendJet 2 is portable, so you can blend up a smoothie at work, a protein shake at the gym, or even a margarita on the beach. It's small enough to fit in a cup holder, but powerful enough to blast through tough ingredients like ice and frozen fruit with ease. BlendJet 2 is whisper quiet, so you can make morning smoothie without waking up the whole house. Lasts for 15 plus blends and recharges quickly via USB C. Best of all, BlendJet 2 cleans itself. Just blend water with a drop of soap and you are good to go. I gotta say that they have a bunch of different looks to it. When I saw the Buzz Lightyear version, like animation podcast, I had to hop on that. I was very excited for all the Disney versions that they have, all the exciting colors. This thing is very cool, very convenient, especially after having shoulder surgery, getting home from physical therapy, and just being able to plop in a little bit of protein powder with frozen bananas and strawberries. Hit that go button, does 20 seconds by itself. It's fantastic. Beach season is coming up, so if you're getting tired of just cold beers and want to have some nice frozen margaritas on the go, this thing is excellent for you. So what are you waiting for? Go to blendjet.com and grab yours today. And be sure to use the promo code STAYWHELM12 to get 12% off your order and free 2-day shipping. No other portable blender on the market comes close to the quality, power, and innovation of the BlendJet 2. They guarantee you'll love it or your money back. Blend anytime, anywhere with the BlendJet 2 portable blender. Go to blendjet.com and use the code STAYWHELM12 to get 12% off your order and free 2-day shipping. Shop today and get the best deal ever.
woo! And yeah, for any of you out there who buy one, thank you so much for supporting the brands that have decided to support us because it's awesome that we have this opportunity. So
Yeah, it's
yeah,
a 2-year effort in the making.
it is.
All right, so we are going to kick it off with the one and only Jay Scotty and his list.
Yes.
You want to read on his behalf, or should we popcorn it?
Well, I think we should popcorn it because I
Okay,
think we're both going to have some thoughts on his behalf as
okay.
he entrusted us with this list, listeners. It took a lot to get it away from him, but he knew in his heart that we would take care of it. So thank you, sir. We'll start with his number 5, the revelation of Le Million mastering his permeation quirk.
Ooh, that's a good one.
Yeah.
When he took on the whole class, and they were just like, "You're so great," he was like, "No, this took a lot of work. There was a lot of disasters in my past of going through my clothes and being stuck underground and not being able to see, hear, or breathe." And it's
Yeah,
incredible, just knowing the process to get to where he is.
for being such a chipper guy to find out like the dark past of him learning his powers.
Hmm.
It was a weird one, and Le Million is just again criminally underrated in that top 5. Like, this is an awesome scene, but also just his return almost made my top 5. Like, him showing back up with us not knowing that he had his quirk back was one of the
Hmm.
many shout at my TV moments in season 6 because I was just ecstatic to see him back in action with his quirk. So yeah, just give us all the Le Million, but I think it's a solid 5, Jay Scotty. I'll allow
Yeah. Of
it.
the 3, I think Nejure's been the most robbed. Like, you see her fighting outside of the compound in season 4 for a bit, and then she kind of gets beat up in season 6, so I do kinda wanna see her have, like, her I mean, I guess
She was the
Tamaki got beat up too, because he did
yeah.
collapse after his fight. I take that back, they're all wonderful, and I love every bit of each of them.
Yeah, that's the one complaint is we don't have enough time for them. Like they've written
Yeah.
them like main characters to a sideshow that we just aren't getting to see.
Spin off, spin off, spin off. I just want to see like a fast forward of them being heroes and being in the same agency and just how incredible they are.
Yeah, and until Sun Eater's still sad.
Yeah.
Man, I started my own agency.
Oh my god, him as a leader would be incredible.
Leader, what do you want us to do? There's a villain. I don't know.
I don't know. It's just
Just
hopeless.
yeah, just go do it, I guess.
I guess we should save the people. Does it even matter? Do they want to be
he
before
is
I
just
get in a mood?
he is the Gen Z hero, but
Right? All right. Number 4, we have Deku, Ida, and Todoroki versus Stain.
oh god, that watching Ida go to the dark side, I think
Hmm.
was something I just never expected this show to do. Because
Yeah.
he's the stereotypical nerdy character that's just going to be there to bark orders and, be the butt of a couple of jokes. So, him going full buck wild and then Oh, Stain is almost scarier than One for All for One, whichever that is.
Selfish one is all for one. I
All
want
for
it.
One, yes. Honestly, Stain is almost scarier than All for One. Like he
Yeah.
really has a lot of just skin crawling, but very good points. Like All for One's evil for the sake of being evil.
Yeah.
Stain knows why he's doing it, and I think it's the entire conversation that they're having over the fight with the three of these that makes it a proper moment outside of because it's just a fight in an alley. It's not some
Mhm.
grand we're flying through the sky or we're tearing down buildings. It's low to the ground, humble, I'm going to kill you.
Yeah. And this was after seeing his brother in a hospital bed, not being able to use his legs anymore. Like, he's not even killing them. He's just giving them, like, you're going to be tortured for the rest of your life.
Yeah, let me just take your quirk, pretty
Yeah.
much.
And then the fear of, like, what is it? He licks their blood and they can't move for a while. Whew.
Ugh, no, thank you.
Anything with blood like that is just kind of like, you're in trouble.
Yup. Bloodbending is a problem. All right, and number 3. Wow, Jay Scotty's got such a good list here. Twice's death. I don't even know what to say about Twice's death besides they did it. I didn't think they'd have the balls to do it, and this show did
Yeah.
it.
Yeah, we were talking about, like, who's going to die in the series. When is somebody going to die? Because we were so caught up in the Shigaraki part of it that it was like we didn't expect a villain to dying hit us this hard. And just the way that Toga responded to it and the way that Dobby just brushed it off to how they used it against Hawks, like that was such a big deal.
Yeah, I think it's the reminder of the gray area that this show lies in. So often we have the story of we'll make more Avatar references. The hero can't kill the villain.
Hmm.
You want the way out that is mercy, and to see Hawks say, "This is my only option. I'm going to kill him." It's a very real decision that
Yeah.
many of us in that position would contemplate, but to see it happen and then like you said the fallout, flawless writing, flawless moment.
Hmm.
The ripple's going to be everlasting. I don't foresee this going away over the next season.
And like his mission was to keep him away from the rest of the League of Villains so that they didn't have access to his powers. But there was a part of him that was like part of Hawks that was genuinely concerned for him too. It's like in another world, like could I reform you? Like we could be friends, we could be working together. Like you don't need to go down this path. And then his dialogue about like this has been my only path. Like you heroes have done nothing for me. Like these are my friends, these are my family. Like they made me the person I am today. You guys have been useless all this time. Like, what makes you think I want to change now? I'm not going to abandon them just because of your ideals and because of what you have to say. Like, you're betraying me as we speak.
Yeah, no, it's he treated the villains like heroes would. Like Twice
Yeah.
was just on the wrong side of the fight. That's all that it
Yeah.
came down to.
The next one that we got from there, we already talked in great depths.
It
Daku.
was
Daku.
Daku.
Daku. Deku versus Todoroki in the sports festival.
Yes, it was also my number two. So Jay Scotty and I are on that same wavelength with this one.
2-2.
2 and 2. And I know a lot of the reason I think I put it up so high is because I've listened to Jay Scotty talk about it at length. Like it is a standout among standouts
Mm-hmm.
for sure.
Yeah, we definitely have a few people who's going to agree with that as well. And let's take it off with number one.
Yes, and it's different than ours, which is super interesting and I love Bakugo's apology to Deku, Class 1A versus Deku in season 6.
Yeah, we brought up the fight between Deku and Bakugo and why Bakugo was so hurt and All Might apologizing to him, but this was a step up from that as well. We had this great moment of all the heroes getting an opportunity to, express what Deku means to them. And Bakugo makes it clear that he wants something to say and how he really feels about him. And it's the scenes that we've seen so many times of Deku helping Bakugo out of the water and him slapping his hand, but the true meaning of how Bakugo took that, like we've never had that spoken into words before. I'm not even sure we've like really thought of it that way before. And for him to give Ida the moment to have his moment first because of what we talked about from number 4 on Jay Scotty's list of the stain scene, and then expanding more on that of like, all right, everybody had their chance. I don't need to step in physically. Just listen to me talk.
Yeah, I think it's the talking aspect of it because someone pointed out recently they were all apologizing to Deku the whole time. We acknowledged that. What I didn't really put together was this apology was all that it really took. The fight happened, the physically stopping him happened, but when he heard when he being Deku heard his best friend apologize to him and really put his heart on his sleeve in a way that we've never seen before, that
Mhm.
was the thing that stopped Deku right in his tracks. He was like, that's what I needed. This is what I should have been thinking and hearing the whole time. It's so moving and emotional to hear, but then just to break down and think about what he means as more than a friend, a brother, even. Just flawless writing, flawless way to bring us back into the fold, bring Deku back and show like he's been here the whole time and he's
Mhm.
not going to call him Deku anymore. And that's going to give me problems in pronunciation.
Yeah, he calls him Midoriya, and even in the hot tub where he was like Midoriya, it's like it's kind of his hero name now, so it works either way.
It
You,
does work either
you just
way, but it's
hint of
it's
how you say
that it's that reminder that he now has respect and he's acknowledging
it.
that
Yeah.
and like yeah, he wants him to call him by his name or he wants to call him by his name.
Yes, please respect a man after you strip him down and force him into a tub.
Oh my, that scene was there you go. Top 5 scene right there is bathing Deku.
After the trauma of season 7, let's just have a top 5 adorable or like laugh worthy scenes.
How many airy scenes can I fit on one list?
It'll just be airy. That'll
It's
just
just
be number one, just airy.
there's plenty of good ones to laugh at though. But
Yes. All right. So we have two feedbacks that came in where they did all the explanations themselves, so we don't need to break anything down. First off, we are very excited to hear from Chrissy again. Hey guys, I thought I'd check in and put in my 2 cents with my top 5 My Hero moments. This last season was a roller coaster of emotions, and now that it's over, we can sit back, let out our breath we've been holding in, and let it all sink in. It was hard to choose just 5 moments from the entire series, but I managed, so here it goes. Number 5, the school festival. I love this arc only because it's nice to see Class 1A do something normal without villains interrupting every few days, and just see a smile on Aries' face puts a smile on mine.
and coming in at number 4, the sports festival. I love this arc because I enjoy seeing all the different quirks and how their users use them in different situations. Also, just to see how none of the quirks are exactly the same is amazing. I would definitely lose track at some point and have a duplicate eventually if I was a writer. And time for the deeper stuff.
Number 3, when Deku saves Koda. This moment is amazing. If it isn't on at least one other person's list, I might be a little surprised. I didn't
Hmm.
start off the explanation of mine with this scene. I just want to remind people of that. I honestly believe Koda is the first person Deku inspires as a hero. If you look at it, it's almost as if Koda is little Izuku and Deku is All Might. Ooh. And for it to come full circle in season 6 with Koda being one of the first people to accept Deku into the walls of the school just hits you in the feels. Deku makes Koda believe in heroes again, and if that doesn't tug at your heartstrings a little, I'd say you have no heart because after all that has happened in season 6, Koda has no reason to believe in heroes, but I know he believes in Deku and that's what matters. That was very beautifully written.
Yeah, credit to you, Chrissy. We'll read through her others and then we'll circle back to the ones that weren't on our list and talk a little more
Yeah.
about them. Number 2, Dabi's reveal. What kind of list would this be if I didn't add my number 1 villain in the mix? This reveal was everything from the delivery to the reactions. I just absolutely love the different reactions you get from Endeavor and Shoto. Endeavor is frozen with shock and guilt as he has all these emotions, while Shoto is calm and not letting it affect his ability to fight, which shows me the different relationships they both had with Dabi. I mean, Shoto never really actually knew his brother, never got to play or train with him, so honestly, his reaction makes sense, as yes, it affects his family, but he doesn't have a problem fighting him, as he only ever really knew him as a villain longer than he knew him as a brother. Mind blowing. And to end
Do
it
you
with a
remember?
bang,
Do you remember how triggered you were the first time that she said that she stands Dobby? She's like, "Really, Stan? I don't know."
I don't like anyone standing Dobby. It's a personal thing because like he's a great villain, don't get me wrong, but he's one of those villains that has zero redeemability. Like some villains have something. His
Even now,
is maybe now, I don't know. It's
did you guys get my picture from when I was watching the second My Hero movie, and it was Endeavor versus Dobby at the beginning, and I was like, back to the good old days of just fire people fighting each other.
fire people, fire people. No, it gives some depth. It's also just Chrissy's not the problem. There's the lovely thing we call anime thirst and Dobby that is a problem in my eyes. But
I
we're
just had to
getting
bring that up because it was just so entertaining. But yeah, let's wrap this up with a bang. Number 1, Class 1A versus Deku. This moment gets you in the feels for sure. Everyone loves Deku and shows it with actions and words. Even those who aren't as close with him have memories of when he inspired them, or him just being a true friend. And how they use their quirks to work together and bring him home on a whim just shows how much they've grown as a class and as a team. And don't get me started on Bakugo's character development. Chef kiss. This moment was just beyond amazing and a tearjerker for sure. Well, there you have it. My top 5 moments of My Hero. There's definitely more, but those are the ones that stand out the most when I think back on the series as a whole. I can't wait to see what comes next. Dot 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 dot. More tears probably. Stay well and go plus ultra, my dudes. Chrissy.
Chrissy, credit to you for this writing. Fantastic. Actual just the way that you told this story, I couldn't have done it any better myself. The one that I do want to circle back to, Coda, uh,
Yeah.
like it's amazing. I think it didn't make my list because as a singular moment, him saving Coda isn't the biggest deal. And like pre season 6, I don't think I would have thought of it as much. But the tears that came down and all over when Coda was there and wanted the same color shoes.
Mm-hmm.
The same color shoes is the thing that breaks me. So it's a lovely culmination of scenes. Me thinking about them as individual scenes was where I kind of like left it off, but I'm so glad that she put it on this list
Yeah.
because like it is one of those unique ones that is credit to yep, this show has way too many good scenes that it slipped our minds.
I'm forgetting the Wild Wild Pussycats. So the fact that like they were his caretakers and he still hated heroes to the extent that he did and the fact that Deku went back to check on him, like no matter what, despite how dire the situation was. Like he went alone. The only thing that drew me out of the scene was that he could only do like 5% or something like that. And when he did his final blow, it was like times 1 million. It's like, okay, I don't think the writers did too well on that part. That kind of drew
Y-
me out of it a little bit.
Math don't math there. I don't know about
It's just like I'm hurting a lot. Just I'm not gonna math.
that.
So that was just the one little thing. Like if you could change one thing in the whole series, it's like just put something else there. Because even if he was 5% and he said something like 50 or 100, we would have been like, oh my god, he went all the way to 100. But yeah, just the relationship. I love the comparison of little Izuku and Deku being All Might. Just everything about that is so wonderful, and it kind of comes into the class 1A thing where he always talks about like this is my story of how I became the greatest hero. Too, this is our story about how we became the greatest heroes, and like stuff like this is just so foundational for that because had those people that were inspired by him not been there to get him out of his rut, like who knows what kind of dark places he would have gone into if not, kidnapped and just taken over by All for One.
Seriously. Ah, so good.
Sports Festival was fantastic. I think I liked it even more in the beginning of season 5 where we had class 1A versus B because this is when everybody had like their glow ups for a lack of a better word. So it wasn't their quirks
Good
for the
word.
first time, but just how they've been refining it and how quick it got. Like after Deku had his Black Whip incident, and then it was just kind of like it's a free for all brawl, and everybody was just going at it. I was like, this is insane. And then also Bakugo, leading the team in his abrupt ways. Like everyone was just kind of like, you're an asshole, but we respect what you're doing.
For sure.
But yeah, thank you, Krista. We always love hearing from you and your anime insight. So this was a lot of fun to go through.
Yeah.
All right, the next one that we have is Jonathan Kim, who we just get excited to hear from everybody. Like,
Oh,
I'm going to tell
always.
you each individually how much we love hearing from you every time that you write in, but like just the community building that podcasting can do is just wonderful, and the fact that people take the time to write in just makes me so happy. Because, like I
Yeah,
said,
it's
we're very sleep deprived, and we still do this.
we are. It's very much I see the numbers, but remembering that those numbers are people
Yeah.
is always awesome. So yeah, Jonathan Kim, thank you again. Now that we have finished season 6, here are my top 5 My Hero Academia moments so far. There are a lot of great moments in this show, and I must say this was hard. Took over a week since you guys announced it to properly gather my top 5 moments and my reasoning behind it.
Good thing we kept
I,
delaying.
I have to put this up front that all of my top 5 wouldn't be here without the great soundtrack behind the
Mhm.
animation. The perfect timing of the orchestra coming in definitely tugs at your emotions. All the feels. Well, without further ado, here are my top 5. And starting at number 5 with the lovely soundtrack of Zuhair behind me. Yeah, Deku versus Todoroki. What are the odds that we've all yeah, but in number 5, so I'm curious what is above it. This one is special, as this clip here shows us clip with all of the music was literally my first introduction to My Hero Academia. I saw this and was like, wait, is this anime? I need to watch this. Such a great fight and character development of Todoroki here. Also, the fact that Deku's character of helping out his friend even in the midst of a battle is shown here.
Sorry, I clicked the link like as you were reading, and it literally starts off with like the flame coming in after Deku starts talking to him. And
I,
my favorite music just kicks in right away, and it's absolutely incredible. And Endeavor just being a proud papa over on the side with Todoroki not giving a flying bird.
I'm
So I need to
listeners,
watch this over again.
I'm sure that that pause is going to be edited out, but there was a solid 5 seconds of me just looking at him like, "Are you going to read number 4?" And that's why he apologized, like, "Oh, sorry, I was listening to this."
I'm
It
getting
was
there. I'm getting there.
he just was in his own little world there for a moment.
It's just so good. The
It
show is
is.
so good.
We're going to be talking
It's
forever
on
about
my
this.
it's on my Mount Rushmore of animes for a reason. Like it hasn't changed. Dragon Ball Z, Naruto, My Hero Academia, Demon Slayer, like nothing has changed that yet. There might be smaller mountains like around the rest of the country, but like that's my Rushmore. All right, number 4. Endeavor versus Nunomu. Oh, we actually got the episode numbers too. Season 4, episode 25, episode 88, his start.
He did some
Another great,
research.
I know, right? And we got to acknowledge that. Another great thing about this show is the world building of this world. Shows the struggles outside of UA after the number one hero was recently replaced. Endeavor symbolically killing his past self. Oh, falls down, people think he's dead, rises from the flames like a phoenix reborn, start of a new beginning, and a great ending to season 4.
Brilliant. And coming in at number 3, Deku versus Class 1A. Ooh, some people's number 1 coming in at number 3. Spicy. Season 6, episode 23. As I mentioned in my previous feedback, this moment can bring me to tears with the amount of emotion in this fight. Neither wants to hurt the other, but both know something needs to be done before it gets worse. Also, a great parallel of Class 1A on par with Deku on being a hero and catching up to him. Even a great hero can't do everything themselves, and a heroes also need protecting as well.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think there's really too much more we can add to that. So we'll move on to number 2, Lemillion versus Overhaul. Season 4, episode 11, episode 74, Lemillion. Lemillion is one of my favorite characters in My Hero Academia. This battle was great, and he trained so hard with this quirk only to have his quirk taken from him. Yet he smiles when protecting Eri and continues to fight Overhaul without a quirk for 5 whole minutes. A true definition of a hero. He turned what many people considered a useless quirk into something that should be feared. It showed that even those with less destructive quirks could still be something to not look down upon. Somebody shared some very interesting insight as a manga anime comparison to this scene, how they were disappointed with the anime because during this fight scene it was more like still frames of Lemillion fighting Overhaul, and I was like,
How can
huh,
you
I don't
complain?
I don't
Hmm?
think I ever thought about that in hindsight. Like it just wasn't all like I
Well,
don't
I'm
know.
just saying, how do you
Like I wouldn't call it a
complain
complaint because I still
of
loved it
going
and all
from
of it was
still
pretty
pictures
cool.
to still pictures? Like they actually kept it the same.
Yeah.
But I think in my head, that's, oh, he can't move as fluidly without his quirk, so this is what we get to see. Like
Yeah.
it's visual storytelling in its best capacity.
Yeah.
Um,
As someone who doesn't read the manga, the perspective was interesting, but like I love it all the same. I thought it was so well done. Sure, we could have gotten more out of it now that I like think about that, but I am very content with what we have.
Never can complain too much. But
I mean, people stop listening if you complain too much.
there you go. That's exactly it. But there will be no complaints about the number 1 pick, One for All versus All Might. Season 3, episode 11, One for All. It's definitely tough to choose the best, but you really can't beat this moment when the top hero goes all out for the last time against the top villain. The fact that he was able to go head to head with the top villain while not being in tip top shape speaks volumes to how strong he used to be. The animation and the music here shows that All Might literally put every ounce of what he had left into this one punch. The foot positioning, the torso spinning, the fist close to his body. He was putting his all for that final hit. United States of Smash. Also, not just because of this greatest punch, but because of how All Might displayed himself as hero and passed the torch over to Midoriya. And the pose and stance of victory afterward to show the people shows he was the symbol of peace. After the last episode of season 6, this episode makes it even more special, as not only did he pass the torch over to Midoriya, but everyone else at UA and more. How he indeed became one for all.
Young Midoriya.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
Brilliant in
I mean,
every way.
incredible reading. I love the way that this was written up. I don't have too much more to add because it was
I
kind of
got
a
you,
little rough.
Jonathan.
But
I made it sound good for you, bud.
all right, so we do have a couple of bonus selections. I think my bonus selection was one that I kind of like weaned into it with the final scene of the first My Hero Academia movie, which is top 5, if not top 3 anime movies I've ever seen. So we got bonus selection of Deku versus Bakugo, season 3, episode 23, Deku versus Kachan, part 2. We talked about that part a little bit. Hard to put this one on the list, as Midoriya and Bakugo's relationship as a whole throughout the whole series has been amazing. From the start where Midoriya went out to try to save Bakugo when he didn't even have a quirk yet, to where Bakugo is the only other person that knows Midoriya's secret about One for All. All the way to the recent interaction where Bakugo recognizes Deku's strength and apologizes. The relationship as a whole is a moment, well, pretty much the series in itself, so I couldn't put it up against all the other moments. Looking forward to what you all and the other listeners put in on their list. Until next time, plus ultra, Jonathan.
Yeah. It's hard, like we said, to actually pick 5 of these moments, but I
Hmm.
think I think everything that we have heard, I can't argue, does not deserve to be on a top 5 list.
Yeah,
So, thank you for all of your explanations, and, yeah,
we can move on.
we still have more moments, so I'm curious to see what else hasn't been said that will be on these lists here, as we go through.
I do want to transition to our petty one because this moment really cracked me up. You made a call out to your friend specifically, Jillian Kurtik.
Yeah.
And in that moment, I thought two things. You are going to get a mouthful after listening to this
Oh,
for calling
I
her
got
out
an
like that.
earful. No, she was like, "What? I really have to write something in?"
I got the same one, and I was like, as both of y'all's friend, as soon as I read that out, or as soon as I heard Andrew say that, I was like, Andrew, you have screwed yourself. But as a podcaster, I was like, yes, like, I enjoy texting you, but write stuff in so we have stuff to read. Like, we talk about wanting to talk to the people on the show. Give us more things to talk about on the show.
And then she proceeded to deliver,
A slideshow.
yeah, pretty much a slideshow.
We got images with each one, which this is an audio podcast, so I guess we'll put the images up on our story or something, but
Well,
for now,
her honorable mention at the very least is going on our story, but I will attempt to post
yes.
all of them at some point. Yeah. Without further ado, thank you, Jillian. We really appreciate it. Her number 5, Mirko kicking ass. Dynamic, powerful, effective, and looked great doing it. Couldn't
Yeah, and
agree more.
it's just those mighty thighs like mid kick. It's an awesome.
Why was I also about to say something about the thighs? Why are we like
It's
this?
so fine.
Well, apparently all of us agree. Jill's in on the looks good with us.
Who was the actress that cosplayed as her?
Megan the Stallion, wasn't it?
Was it okay?
I think so.
I can't remember if it was her or Doja.
No, I
All
don't
right,
think it
number
was
four,
Doja.
we have Midoriya versus Todoroki. Great dialogue and fight scenes, and the picture is Midoriya with his broken hand up as they're face to face with Todoroki.
He's about to flick him.
Like him.
Flick him. And number 3, Deku versus Class 1A. Needs no explanation. And then I think proceeded to pick the exact picture that I posted on our Instagram. So if you want to see what that picture looks like, just go back to that episode, Animation Deliberation on Instagram.
Oh, the second a Funko comes out of the suit, like I'm pre-ordering the hell out of it.
uh,
All right, number two, saving Eri. So much heartbreak, but so many happy moments too. And it is the scene of Chisaki standing in the alley as Eri is on the sidewalk with Deku just scared, looking over her shoulder.
Aries on the list. We love an Airy list. And number 1, what else but All Might versus All for One. Sad but so inspiring with top fight scenes.
Do, 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 do,
And yeah,
do. I'll
just
let you
that.
have the. I'll let you have the bonus.
Oh, you let me have the bonus.
I know you want
I do want it because she texted me and she said I did this just for you. And like I said, this one's going up on the Instagram. It's just a collage of pictures of Wash. That's it. Just the hero Wash in several different scenes, looking scared, looking angry, looking ready to go. And then the piece de resistance is some 2005 looking word art, is how she typed the word Wash on the screen. Because she's like, well, there's no logo. What do I do? And just had to display it in such a
it.
perfect way.
Yeah, just an angry one with like the fists on the hip
Just,
on the top right one is epic.
This is a great for an audio podcast, but I hope some of you go and try and find this picture wherever it is that I put it. Maybe we put it in the show notes. I don't know, but yeah, we got to put it somewhere so that you can look at these while we're talking about them because it. Thank you for giving us a laugh, Julian.
Yeah. All right. So the rest of the ones that we got don't have a description. If there's something that we need to expand on that wasn't brought up, we most certainly will. And the first one that we have is from TJ Stafford. Number 5, we have Deku versus Class A for obvious reasons. Number 4, we have Midoriya, Todoroki, and Ida versus Hero Killer Stain. Number 3 is Midoriya versus Todoroki at the Sports Festival. Number 2, we have All Might's final confrontation with All for One and subsequent retirement. And number 1, Endeavor defeating the high-end Nomu from the end of Season 4.
And TJ literally is an amalgamation of Yumi and J. Scotty's list.
Right?
Like in very similar order as well. That's kind of fun that we got all those. But thank you, TJ. And next up, we had Jay Thomas write into us. I apologize, Jay, if I read this in the wrong order. They didn't number them, so I'm gonna go bottom up, assuming
Ding,
it
ding,
was
ding.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's
Bottoms up, bottoms up.
but it could go. I'm gonna guess it goes in the order that I'm about to read them. So at number 5, Midoriya versus Gentle. That's a really fun, interesting one that like I hadn't even really thought about. Number 4, Zuhair changing it in real time because he could see that I was confused at his typo. Mirio versus Chisaki. Again, like top tier, just deserves to be on the list. Number 3, All Might versus All for One. Duh. Number 2, Stain Fight. Duh. And number 1, Todoroki versus Midoriya.
Yep.
Like, we're all on the same page, listeners. I love you for it. KJ, I didn't even see this one. I just now saw that this was in the feedback list.
I'm not sure this is the same KJ you're thinking of because this is the one that I played Destiny with.
No, just what KJ wrote in. I didn't actually see like what their
Oh,
singular
well,
thing that they wrote in
express your
was.
excitement.
It's just Aries smiling at the UA festival. They didn't give us 5 moments. They gave us a singular moment, and I'm so happy.
You remember how worried she was that Deku wasn't going to come on stage because he was
Oh my
dealing with the fight and everything, and just the way she's like, "Where is he? Where is he?" And just the way that she lit up when he was helping with the floating disco ball.
yeah, just give us Festival Part 2. We know it's coming. You teased it at
Yeah,
the end of season 6. Just give it to us. What's going to take so long?
so good.
It is so good.
Oh, what if the second festival is what wraps up the show?
That's just it. It's
Yeah,
over.
like the series.
Maybe.
That's
I don't want to think about it.
tears. All right. Ian specifically said on this one, no particular order, so they're just here.
That was the
We got.
one order, is it had to be in a particular order, Ian. You gotta listen to all the episodes.
I mean, I did mine on a whim, like they were just out there. My order
Gosh.
was actually riding what you. I mean, like my number 1 was my number 1, but my order was like riding off like what you were giving, so it just felt balanced, and it
Ah,
worked
okay.
out.
Alright.
So no particular order. Ian said the muscular fight, All for One versus One for All, the Chizaki battle, Nomu versus Endeavor, and Everyone versus Shigaraki. All
Yeah.
heartbreaking moments.
Honestly, yeah, there's just nothing more that I could say because they're all just intensity. Getting
Pain.
sad.
And I'm going to take this last one so that I can say the name properly. Emily Sissel. She
Yeah.
only left one, but we have Aizawa's first big battle at USJ protecting the kids. That was the only other time that was brought up, except for my number 5.
What a whirlwind of emotions that I just went through. I hope you all enjoyed, listeners. We intended this to probably be like 20, 25 minutes. Hi. Thanks for sticking with us.
And this is with missing one person too.
And this was with Missing Scoots. Oh my gosh. Well, thank you all so much for listening. I don't know if I have anything else that I can say, so I'm just gonna leave it here with yeah.
Yeah, we love My Hero Academia. For the people who binged it, I don't know how you did it. Like, just process just that much emotions at once. Good for you, I guess.
Yeah. Oh, and if you liked this, feel free to let us know. We don't know how much how often we're going to have like a free week in our schedule like this. But
Mm.
if you enjoyed doing like a top 5 and we have another free week at some point, maybe we'll do something else like this. Get your feedback on another show, or get your Mount Rushmores together, or we'll do top 5 Hunter x Hunter moments so Zuhair has to watch the show.
Can
And
I
then we'll
finish
do
Mob
top
Psycho?
and then we'll do top 5 Naruto, so I have to watch the show. We'll go back and forth.
All right, Mob Psycho is the only multiple season thing I'm watching right now. And then we have Blue Lock, Vinland Saga. I was told to watch Doctor Stone. Should that be priority on the list or just Hunter x Hunter?
Monica's watched Dr. Stone. She has enjoyed it, so it's on my list, but
Okay. And that's all I can think of right now, so I'm not going to remind myself any further.
no more.
Crap. Yeah. So this was definitely a very emotionally overbearing season, so I'm glad that we have a few months to just relax until it comes back to torture us again every week, but we're going to love every bit of it. My
Every
Hero
bit.
Academia is one of the best. We are glad that you are here along with us for the ride, and we can't wait to talk to you again soon. So tune in next time. That's TOONIN, and as always, stay whelmed.
And until we have another fight, muscle muscle.
Thank you for listening to the Animation Deliberation Podcast, a proud member of the Stranded Panda Network. If you would like to contact us, you can email animationdeliberationpodcast@gmail.com or follow us on Twitter @animationdelib1. For this and other great shows, you can visit strandedpanda.com or join the great community that is the Stranded Panda Chat Facebook group at facebook.com/groups/svchat. Tune in next time, and remember, stay whelmed.